Hello everybody, welcome back to another video where I talk over a game, in other words, Pal World playing in the background. And today I wanted to talk about autism and emotions, because apparently a lot of people still think that people on the spectrum do not have emotions, and that is actually very, very wrong. I don't really know why. Well, I kind of know why. I guess people think that because obviously there are a lot of people on the spectrum who have a bit of a flat affect, which means your facial expressions don't vary very much, and your voice probably is also fairly monotone, etc., unless you really work on it to try and like vary that. And some people manage to get some more facial expression through like masking, etc., but usually there is still that effect of you're not as enthusiastic or you're not emoting as much as an average person would, and that makes people think that there's nothing going on in there. But what I have experienced and heard from others as well is that there are quite a lot of emotions, but usually they are hidden, they're quite deep, and there is also a thing called alexithymia, which some of us have, which means that we don't really know exactly what emotions are happening in the moment until they get very, very strong, and then suddenly everything comes out at once. That can lead to like a meltdown or something else, like a sudden burst of anger, sudden burst of sadness, or whatever it is, sudden burst of happiness as well. These are all possibilities, so that makes it more difficult to appear, I guess, normally leveled emotional, but that's not really a term there, but I just kind of made that up. And I get that it can be difficult for people who are not on the spectrum to get that and to understand that they are not trying to seem cold or distant. They may actually be very empathetic and involved, but they just can't communicate that in the same way. Usually you'll see, I think a lot of people on the spectrum have the love language of like acts of service. They do things for you. If they hear that you like something, they'll make sure to get that for you, or to make sure that the situation is such that that can occur and that type of thing. It's kind of like if you were in a very strict school where you're not allowed to like act up, speak out and stuff like that, and there's this teacher that's monitoring you 24/7, and then somebody walks in who doesn't actually go to that school, and they're allowed to do whatever because they don't go to that school, and the teacher's not watching them, and they're like, hey guys, let's all cheer for this or that thing, and you're like, oh yay. Like, you're not trying to attract the attention of the teacher who's waiting there with a rod to punish you if you act out too much. That's kind of like what it feels like. There's just a limiter there. It's not like we're actively policing ourselves, but there's just this automatic limiting effect, which I guess is the alexithymia also, like not letting us know that there's things going on in the background. That can be a limiting effect. Until, like I said, there's too much going on and then everything comes out at once. But I noticed that a lot of people who are like discrediting other people who say that they're on a spectrum will start saying things like, do you have emotions? Like, do you feel anything? Like when I do this or when I say that, do you feel anything like a reaction to that? And then if this other person says, actually, I do feel things, then they go, I got you. That means you're not actually on the spectrum, which is of course nonsense, but okay. And also I noticed with myself, just thinking of the flat affect thing, like your face and your voice tends to sound monotone, but I don't really notice that from the inside. For instance, I think when a group photo is made that I'm smiling and looking enthusiastic, and I see the photo afterwards and I'm like, oh my god, I look so grumpy. I really thought I was smiling here. Like, I even did the whole face contorting thing where you're trying to like open your eyes extra and like put the corners of your mouth up and stuff like that. But then I see the photo and it's all kind of flat, more like a scowl than anything. I've had a couple of times as well where I had to take a picture of myself for some project that we were doing. Everybody had to take a selfie of themselves. And in times like that as well, I really think that I'm smiling, and I have to do that photo over like 4 or 5 times until I actually get something that looks like a smile. And I'm really trying. I'm not like trying to be demure or anything like that. I'm just really trying to smile and look bright and happy, and it's just not working. And I guess the same can be said for the voice as well. I try to like make it go up and down and stuff like that, and put emphasis on this thing and not so much in the other, and do the whole questioning thing or statement sounding ending to a sentence, make it like sound more certain, whatever, but it all just kind of sounds more like a calm wave form. Like you have spiky waves, like on a sound recording when somebody really raises their voice, then lowers it again. You have those big spikes and small spikes and things like that. That's what I think I'm doing when I'm talking sometimes. And then you can look back at the waveform and it's actually all kind of in the middle. And there's like a couple of things that are like peaking a bit, but everything else is kind of sort of in the middle, the same thing over and over again. Or if you were to look at like a river, there's deeper parts and there's shallower parts. Usually the shallower parts are a bit more lively looking and the deeper parts are more flat. So if I were to use the analogy of the river, I think I look like the shallow parts, but I come across as the deep part in the middle because that's just what other people see and hear for some reason. Well, not for some reason, that's what's coming out, but that's not what I think I'm putting out. I'm trying to put like more emotion into speaking, etc. But I've literally had people go like, you should like do something fun or whatever, or relaxed, you sound so depressed and stuff like that when I like released a video a while ago. And particularly when I'm recording videos, I try to do more modulation in my voice because often all you really hear of me is the voice. You don't really see me on screen a lot of the times. And that means I have to put more emphasis, more character into the voice. But apparently even that is not enough unless I start to go really crazy. But then I have to get into like voice acting, I guess, in order to do more dramatic presentation style speaking. I don't know. But then usually when I'm talking about stuff, it's not that dramatic anyway, so I'm not sure if that really helps. Or the topic that might actually distract more. So it's a bit of a confusing mess, and it just kind of annoys me. That's why, in particular, that I wanted to make this video. It just kind of annoys me when people go for the do you experience emotions thing to try and disprove somebody's autism. Like they know anything about diagnosing anybody with anything. Like, what are you going to do if you see me emoting? Does that automatically mean that I'm not limited in any other way? Like, it could be that I just have lesser support needs or I'm maybe better at masking. Just don't try to diagnose people. It's just stupid, okay? All right, so don't do that. And in the meantime, I would like to hear what you guys are thinking in the comment section below. And I want to thank you for watching or listening. I hope to see you in the next video, and bye-bye for now.